Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Overlord Prowler's Round Robin. We are here for the finals between Team Phoenix and Blitzkrieg. After about a month and a half of brawling it out in a round robin among six teams, these two teams emerged at the top of the standings and will fight it out for the crown tonight. I'm Jeff, joined by Gregorsaurus Rex. How you feeling about our matchup tonight?
Boy, I am hyped to see this play out. These two teams emerged as some of the most dominant forces in GMA in a long, long time. So it's really, really cool to see them going head to head. I'm really excited about it.
And it is worth noting we have a little bit of a twist to the finals here tonight. We will actually be essentially what it amounts to is players will not be allowed to pick the same champions in multiple games. So if let's say Lord of Admirals picks up his trusty Lilia in game one, that champion cannot be picked by anybody for the remainder of the finals. Going to test the players' champion pools a little bit tonight and see how that goes. See who emerges after that little twist. I think that it looks like everybody is ready, so we'll get into champ select here in a moment. I just want to ask, straight up before we see any picks, any bans, who do you have? Who are you picking?
Oh, that's such a hard thing to ask me without any sort of idea of what they're going to be playing or what they're going to be doing. However, um, just from what I recall, well, I don't know if we want to talk about the pregame lobby chat, but I know one team is favoring dogs over cats, so naturally I'm going to shade more to the cat side. Uh, all that said, Team Phoenix has been a very, very scary force, so I guess I would probably give them the slight edge, but it's one of those where it's like 55-45. It could go either way and very, very quickly.
Fair enough. And just to explain side choice here as well, given that Blitzkrieg won the regular season matchup between these two teams, they are being able to start on blue side as a reward for that regular season victory. See a Volibear and Nami ban coming out first here, and Belveth from the side of Team Phoenix. They don't want to see Lord of Admirals on that. Just for further clarification, bans do not eliminate a champion for the entirety of the finals. Obviously, as they function, you cannot play at that game, and teams can still ban stuff in every game if they choose. But only if a champion is actually played will it be taken out of the pool.
I think this is going to end up a lot of really interesting strategies. For example, we know Lord of Admirals on. This is just an example. Both teams have players who are very very good on specific champions. But Lord of Admirals is well known for his Lilia play being an absolute nightmare. But then you have to weigh the options. Do you want to let him have it one game and have it basically be a pseudo ban because he can't pick it again? It's a good question. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, yeah, I'm looking at things right now, and it is available, um, in this first rotation after this first set of bans. And for a moment, I was thinking like, well, do you want to not pick it if you're Lord of Admirals because you want to save it for later in the series? But you can't really do that because I mean, that enhances the potential that you might not get to play it at all. Because if you don't play it when it's available, they can still ban it out in future games.
Yeah, there's a lot of mind games here. It's almost like a game of
Yeah.
chicken, to be honest. It'll
And
be interesting to see.
if you're Team Phoenix, are you trying to bait? Do you think that you have a counter pick for it, and that's why you're leaving it up? There's a lot of things going back and forth. They take the misfortune away from Tilted Pig, which I believe is his most trusty AD carry.
Yeah, interesting play there. They pick the misfortune away from Tilted Pig and they ban the Amumu away from CB Hickey. So for the first time in quite a few weeks, we will not be seeing Curse of the Sad Bullet time. And lo and
There's that
behold, there's that
Lilia,
Lilia. Yep.
and I have to assume that this Urgot is going top lane.
That is a safe bet. Well, especially with the Lilia being picked, I think that's very likely.
Mm.
Fat Lee did a lot of work on the Swain. I believe it was last week. Be really interesting to see him run that back and see if he can produce the same results.
And we see Team Phoenix having banned away the Vigar, which he played, I believe, the first 3 weeks. So that taken off, and as you said, Swain certainly a solid backup option.
Absolutely true. It'll be very interesting to see. I do think it's interesting to note that the teams that have made it to the finals here, um, there was sort of a bit of a meme actually during the regular season. There was a lot of Zac play on almost every team, but both of these two teams are not those teams that play Zac. We may actually have a Zackless game this time.
Yeah, that's a good call. I feel like we saw like Zach against Ornn up in the top lane at least 4 or 5 times throughout this split.
I do have to call attention to the fact we are looking at a Misfortune Ashe bot lane.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny because obviously I would assume that it's support Ashe, but I'm getting flashbacks to that legendary Rocks Tigers SKT semifinals from I believe 2016 when they ran the MF support with the Ashe.
Yeah, the Ashe support is something I'd expect more from a Maya Chan. He prefers to play those more,
Yeah. Hmm.
out of the box type of champions that are a little bit more bizarre as far as support role goes. But
Yeah,
and
absolutely. When I saw the pick come through, I had to look down the roster and be like,
double
wait, is
check
Maya
and
Chan
shit.
subbing? What's going on?
Yeah, probably a good idea to get rid of that Leona. She makes Misfortune's life very very challenging, and also Misfortune Ashe not the most mobile bot lane.
Yeah. So between the Amumu and the Leona, two hard engaged supports banned away from CB Hickey. Did play the Nautilus earlier in the split, and that champion can do similar things. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick that up if it's left available to him.
I think this is going to be very, very interesting, actually, now that I think about it. Picking Ashe support does feel really odd, but I think it's a really smart move. Tilted Pig's probably number two AD carry is Ashe. So by picking both Misfortune and Ashe, they're off the table. The options are gone now.
Yeah, you also saw the Tristana ban as well, so I would assume that was aimed at Tilted Pig. Could be a Sivir coming, which it's okay, so might struggle a little bit with the short range in laning phase. I would really expect to see a Nautilus here.
Look at that. Knowing CB Hickey, that would certainly make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need something to get on top of the Ashe and the Misfortune. I think the Nautilus is a good choice here. I don't think CB Hickey plays any of the more. I don't know if he plays Blitzcrank. I haven't seen him play it.
Hmm.
Obviously, Thresh Pike, other champions can go on in. Leona off the table here. So unless we're seeing like a Zac support or something wacky, yeah, that's probably a good choice.
And Lux is picked up for the final pick. I assume that's going to Dr. Primogen in the mid lane. And also worth noting, we saw that Malzahar banned
Mm.
away from Primogen, which he was quite dominant on earlier in this split. This is really interesting because I feel like you've got about four, maybe 3.5 like pseudo tanks on the side of Blitzkrieg, and then you've got, two big beefy tanks on the side of Blitzkrieg, and then three super squishy members.
Yeah, it's sort of an odd combination. As far as the team comps go, I mean I won't belabor the ease of execution point on this one, but I will say that neither team has like a I don't think like a clean way to start a fight. I mean, I suppose you could Ash Arrow. That's probably your best bet. You can combo that into other things.
Yeah, the Ash Arrow, but other than that, yeah, I think everybody you're fishing for, you're seeing if CB Hickey can land a crucial hook, you're seeing if Primogen can land a crucial light binding. Um, I think you'll see a lot of posturing, in the river around objectives and stuff with everyone just fishing for skill shots. If you miss, you just kind of walk back, put down another ward, and then try again in 12 seconds or whenever your cooldown is back up. But I do think that Enchanted Crystal Arrow will certainly be the biggest go button in the game, as it usually is. The question is if Team Phoenix will want to be the ones pushing the go button. I look at this comp and I wonder if they're going to be more looking to kite back in fights.
Yeah, I think you may be right, especially with the Lilia, who obviously does a lot of damage over time. The Swain, who does a lot of damage over time. They're going to be looking more for like an extended, drawn out skirmish type of situation. It's also interesting to note as well with the Sivir in play and the Mordekaiser in play. A well-timed spell shield could make that ult look really, really silly.
Yeah, and man, Lord of Admirals already dashes around so fast on this Lilia, but when you add in on the hunt, it's going to be a very scary prancy deer.
Yeah,
Have
it's
we
gonna
seen
be.
Foeden on Mordekaiser this split? I believe we have.
I think if we have, it was only once. It's not usually what he goes for. It's also interesting to note that all of a lot of the things he likes to play, like for example, there's no Kled ban or pick here. Um, a lot of the stuff that he's had absolutely standout performances on, just no attention paid to it for game one at least.
Yeah, I mean, I assume a lot of that has to do with the fact that Team Blitzkrieg probably had some scouting, and once Foeden picked that Mordekaiser, which I assume they picked kind of to pick it away from Lord of Admirals, they knew that that was going to be Foeden on the Mordekaiser, so they didn't worry too much more about banning other things away.
Probably true. Probably true.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Foeden played Mordekaiser in that game where he was constantly dueling Brandanasaur
Mm.
in the Death Realm, and that was always a fun little duel within the battle. And his Mordekaiser looked very good in that game, um, but they did end up losing that game actually. So
It's also interesting to note that neither one of these teams is exceptionally tanky. There's tanks on each team. Obviously, the Sejuani will get tanky. Urgot sort of gets tanky. Same with Mordekaiser, sort of. Swain pseudo tanky with all of his health drain, and Nautilus will get tanky, but he's a sport, so it'll take several years. Lots of squishy characters, to be honest.
yeah, that's one thing that like I don't want to be overly critical, but Team Phoenix's comp just kind of bothers me a little bit because they've got those two big meatballs in the front and
Meatballs.
then three extremely squishy champions after that. And an underrated part of team comps, in my opinion, has always been having like a midline, champions that can go in, can kite back, have like a diversity in how they can be played. And there really isn't any of that in Team Phoenix's composition. As we finally get past spectator delay, weekly reminders, stop ghosting people and making this spectator delay necessary. If everybody would just not cheat, we could be 3 minutes into the game by now. Skin battle. Everyone except Fatly has skins. Come on, Fatly. What are you doing?
Sadly, this is the finals, my man. If there's ever a time. Oh, that said, that Nightbringer Lilia is a really cool skin. I'm a fan of that.
Well, fast loading screen. We'll see if anybody decides to do something cool in the early game. Looks like pings from Team Phoenix are already just calling out the classic outposting along the river.
Well, it wouldn't be a GMA event if we didn't have to do a brief period of radio. Okay, now we're caught up.
Oh, someone messed up. Someone on Team Phoenix isn't in position. Blitzkrieg, you could get in there. Well, no invades. Oh well. Someday.
Interesting to note, we see a Mordekaiser backing. It looks like Foeden forgot to buy items.
Oh my gosh, that entire top side of the jungle. Get in there, Blitzkrieg.
Oh man, is that nerves that I spy? At least he didn't buy a support item and go to his lane. I don't know anyone who's ever done that.
Wow, that misfortune skin is ridiculous.
Is that Space Groove? I think so. Oh, that's the kitty cat one. That one's awesome.
Oh, maybe a little shout out to you. Alright, so both junglers starting on the bot side of the map. Which means could see some contest over that top side Scuttle Crab if they both end up there, which I would expect. Both bot laners giving generous leashes.
Ooh, a smite coming out from Sedge.
Yeah, Lord of Admiral still has his, so maybe a little bit faster on this next camp.
The poke begins. I do worry a little bit about the Lux into the Swain matchup. If the Swain is played correctly, I do not think the Lux wins this.
Yeah, battle of skill shots, but eventually, yeah, that Swain I just think will be able to survive the Lux burst, and then I don't really know what you do if you're Primadin.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of poke. He's already at half
So,
health.
This support Ashe pick, you're a support player. What makes you think that, or what do you think is responsible for us starting to see this every once in a while?
Well, I blame a fair amount of it actually on ARAM. The default build for ARAM actually for her is not AD carry, it's support, which is obnoxious. Although it makes more sense there because it's harder to dodge things. As far as for us specifically in GMA, like I said, I think this is actually more to take it away from Tilted Pig in future games because of the custom game type.
Sure.
But it is very, very good as far as putting down an oppressive amount of poke. As you can see, Tilted Pig, well below half, having a hard time in this lane.
Mid laners exchanging snares. Fatley comes out a little bit ahead on the health bars. Fatley is running Ghost, so that's something that Primoden's going to have to be careful of. That Swain can just run at him, and if the snare misses, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah. Primoden obviously has the teleport advantage, though, so he gets kind of a free back whenever he needs it.
The interesting thing about this pick here in the bot lane is CB Hickey, of course, very, very, with that champion, able to just engage really, really hard, and there's not a lot of mobility on the side of Phoenix. That said, you can never do that if your AD carry is, constantly below half health.
Yeah, we do see Mixlink coming down towards this bot side, though.
More poke coming down.
There is a ward. There's a ward for Tilted Pig and CB Hickey, so they should see it coming if a dive is going to be set up. Mixlink right now, I believe, just killing that Scuttle Crab. But actually, if he goes all the way... Yeah, he's looping around through the jungle, so this could end up being very scary. Fatley and Primoden continuing to trade. Ward now taken out. And now another ward in the Tri-Brush. It was pinged out, so Mixlink will not come down that way. And Ward of Admiral's good read on the play. He expected someone to come down there for a dive, so he's here to clear his Krugs for the second time and cover for his bot lane. Damage on Primoden, taken down to about 30% health. And Foeden got to get lucky, just brawling as top laners do. Could see a big Q come out here, yeah. Foeden has a really big shield on top of him right now, so got to get lucky. Can't really stand and fight this.
Yeah, he's also a level up. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. He must have just pushed that wave really hard.
Yeah, there's just a massive wave hitting the minion wave, or the tower right now for Gotta Get Lucky, so he'll catch up in XP now.
The curious thing about it was that the CS differential. Mordekaiser actually has less, so he pushed that wave like a lunatic, but he actually didn't get as many CS as the Urgot has.
Yeah, that's a little surprising to me. Gotta Get Lucky did a really nice job CSing that wave under tower. I think he missed a couple, but was able to scoop up most of them.
Peach
but he does have a health dot advantage.
Peach pointing out in the chat that the Team Blitzkrieg bot lane should win because of the all-in versus the poke. I don't disagree with that. However, it all will depend on whether or not Sivir can maintain enough health to actually fight it, which thus far she has not. The Spell Shield actually won't help too much against this bot lane because, yeah, you can get your mana back and absorb one of the hits, but the Comet's still going to hit. The damage over time on the Make It Rain is still going to hit. It's just painful.
Yeah, Tilted Pig took a lot of poke very early in that laning phase. As I think you pointed out, by level 2, he was already sitting at about 40% health, was never really able to recover. Lord of Admirals could get caught out in the jungle here. Foeden comes down. They get the pull down onto the deer, has to flash away. Foeden continuing to chase though and pulls him into the Death Realm. This could very well be first blood. Foeden looking for one more Q. Got him. First blood in the finals goes over to Foeden with an assist from Mixlink.
Really, really well played. They caught him out there. Kind of surprising, to be honest, too, that it played out that way. Usually Lord of Admirals, I understand he enjoys a good invade as much as the next jungler, but kind of surprised he got caught out there.
I'm not sure if he maybe just expected Mixlink to be somewhere else in the jungle, because I think if Foeden just comes over by himself, he's fine. Maybe Lord of Admirals had a read expecting Mixlink to be clearing a different part of the map.
Was Foeden 6 for that?
I believe he dinged 6 right before it all started, yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, very, very good discipline not to burn the ult on it. He still got that up. Wait, no, I lied. He definitely used it. He used
that to secure the kill, yeah. After Lord of Admirals flashed, he pulled him in.
Don't listen to me. I will lie to you.
Primoden has used that teleport, so full health bar again, but won't have that luxury going forward. Gotta get lucky, unfortunately low on mana, and now facing an opponent who has gotten that kill, gotten that first blood. Gotta get lucky, still up in CS a little bit. And here's the Lord of Admirals down near the bot lane. Actually, the junglers will run into each other, and Lord of Admirals has ult, Mixlink does not, but will be able to just dash over that wall.
Mixlink just says no thank you, walks it out.
Down, yeah, gotta get lucky, getting taken pretty low here.
Lucky needs to back.
And Primoden. Yeah, Primoden gets grabbed up by Fatley as well, so the solo laners, well actually it's one on each side, starting to gain some meaningful advantages here. Mixlink and Lord of Admirals continuing to go back and forth in the jungle. Primoden will have first rotation, but Lord of Admirals, nice juke on the ultimate from Sejuani, but now a lot of damage coming through. Final spark from Primoden, but there is the Lilia ultimate. Vatli's pretty low on mana, but I do think they have enough to take down Mixlink, so they even the kills up 1 apiece now. That invade from Lord of Admirals goes much better.
Yeah, they just kind of beat him to the punch there. Now they're going to get a dragon off of that as well, so that's overall a very, very good turn on the side of Blitzkrieg. I think that just a little bit of a quicker response, I think, and a little bit better on the team fight there.
Yeah, I ended up being quite wrong. I thought that Primoden had the inside track to get to that fight first, but I think because of his lower health bar, he had to take a long way around. He couldn't go the most direct route, and so wasn't able to do much other than fire off that ult.
Lucky did get to buy and teleport it back, so he's at least able to withstand a little bit more, but clearly having trouble with this Mordekaiser.
Yeah, Gotta Get Lucky is really taking a beating right now. Foden doing a nice job landing those Death's Grasps into Obliterate combos.
Getting a little bit of health back on those autos, but yeah, each of those Qs is landing. Just taking a look at CS's quickly. Pretty close in pretty much every lane, actually. There's a very slight lead in the bot lane for, even though it looks like Phoenix, it's actually for Blitzkrieg because of the Relic Shield. Yeah, the gold is exactly tied.
We did see Blitzkrieg pick up that first Drake as well, Infernal Drake, so nice little extra reward on top of their kill that they picked up. Both mid laners missing skill shots early. Mixlink coming over onto Fat Lee. They do get the slowdown, so he will get stunned up here. Doesn't have any summoner spells, used them all in the last fight, and now gets rooted up, but big damage coming back, but Primoden able to finish him. Fat Lee not quite durable enough to survive that assault. Nice gank from Mixlink.
Yeah, well played there. I don't think Fat Lee had any idea that one was coming. Whoa, hook just barely misses.
Maybe Hickey looking for that initiation. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're okay. I would say that you could already sort of tell the sustain off of that Swain. Even though they did kill him there, very well ganked, very well played by both sides on Phoenix. It's very, very challenging to kill that Swain, and it's only going to get more challenging as he gets more items and more money.
Absolutely. Another nice Obliterate. Just caught the very edge of Gotta Get Lucky with it. And another pull into another one. Gotta Get Lucky. Oh, he actually tried to go in, scoop him under the tower, but Foden, nice discipline, lands another Q.
Yeah, it was a good look by Lucky, but...
And Mixlink up near the top lane. They might dive this. Gotta Get Lucky is trying to back. Will the minion wave get there? It's not going to get there. Mixlink. Oh, Gotta Get Lucky stopped his back. Oh, I think that is absolutely going to be his death now. Does have flash available, could maybe try to outplay, but gets hit by all the CC right away and taken down. CB Hickey in the bot lane. He gets a nice hook onto Giovanni Yogurt. There goes the depth charge. It's not quite enough damage, and Tilted Pig doesn't have the speed. He's just running into the tower and through the bullet time. And CB Hickey landed the hook, but they just couldn't finish off the kill. That all-in is not quite enough.
That was a little painful to watch. He got slowed down. He couldn't get through that field. The depth charge was not quite enough to secure it. Oh, that just feels bad. If this was solo queue, somebody would probably be complaining about surrendering at 15 off of that one, even though the game is completely winnable still.
Yeah, and Tilted Pig had flash up too, so he might have been able to flash for that kill. And CB Hickey also had ignite, so either one of those summoners are used, and they might have been able to secure that. A lot of plates have been picked up for the side of Team Phoenix. Foeden has picked up 3. Giovanni Yogurt, Nooga Booga Queen picked up 2 in the bot lane. So I think that's where a lot of this 2,500 gold lead that we now see is coming, in addition to the kills, of course.
Yeah, it's funny because we had just recently stated, oh yeah, it's a completely tied up game. No longer the case. It looks like we are going to get a bit of a spat over this Herald. And never mind, both teams have just, they're still fighting over it.
Yeah, the junglers are, it's almost like they're daring the laners from the other team to make first rotation. Looks like everyone is just going to walk away. Everyone's feeling fine with just letting that go for now. Foeden lands another Q. And CB Hickey and Tilted Big getting some much needed free time in this bot lane.
Ooh, that's a lot of damage.
They get 2 plates themselves, so a little bit of gold back for that bot lane.
Yeah, if you take a look at the gold in the bot lane, it's about 500. About 500 for Misfortune. She's up about 500. So there's definitely been a lot of money going over that way. I think that failed dive, unfortunately, was particularly costly.
Absolutely, and we're seeing a CS lead start to be opened up by Foeden up in the top lane now. It's about 17, whereas he was down 7 pretty early on. So starting to take control there. There's a really nicely timed dive from Mixlink.
Yeah,
More poke coming out.
Worth noting
Sorry,
that farm differential actually just goes completely the other direction between Mixlink and Lord of Admirals, though, so it's actually sort of offset in that regard.
And a very slight lead starting to be opened up by Primoden in the mid lane as well. As Lord of Admirals and CB Hickey, they're quick to this second Drake. They want to start stacking those, getting towards that soul. We will not have an Infernal Soul or a Mountain Soul. See, oh, looks like it's going to be Hex. Oh, when you get a Hex Soul, all right.
Hexes. Just glad they got
Lord of
rid
Admirals trying to steal away this blue buff again. This is where we saw some Calamity earlier. And the arrow misses from Giovanni Yogurt. They were standing on a ward, so Lord of Admirals had knowledge, knew that was coming. Nice little sidestep. Foeden doing some counter jungling on the other side, though, knowing that Lord of Admirals is nowhere to be found.
Fix the time control there. All right.
And Rift Herald summoned up in the mid lane, so Mixlink did actually end up going and getting that. And they will use it to try to pop down a big chunk of this mid lane turret. Final Spark misses Fat Lee, takes out the minion wave.
Escape at the
That's a
bind.
little bit of poke.
Yeah, that tower's not looking too hot. They're gonna need a little bit of something special if they want to not lose that one.
Yeah, the plates were gone already, so they weren't able to get any standing gold from that Rift Herald use, but taking down the mid lane turret would certainly open things up. Teleport being used by Primoden back to mid lane. Meanwhile, Fat Lee and Lord of Admirals are trying to plunder the topside jungle of Mixlink, who's going to walk right into all the vision, able to flash and dash away.
Did they dive it?
And the Lilia ult is not quite quick enough, so Mixlink will be able to get back under his tower. Giovanni Yogurt fires up another arrow. Just passes by harmlessly. But a nice little play there from Fat Lee and Lord of Admirals just getting some key cooldowns.
Yeah, it was a good flash by Mixlink to get out of that situation. I actually thought he was completely dead to rights. I think if it was any other champions besides the Sejuani on that team, they'd be dead.
Yeah, I needed the flash and the dash to get away.
Yeah, and you know, credit where credit's due. Lord of Admirals now, when he does invade, he seems to be bringing a buddy along, which is helping his case immensely. If you recall earlier, he did get caught out up by the Krugs. He learned his lesson. He's not doing that again.
A 27 CS lead now between the junglers, so that Lily is starting to become quite imposing. More poke coming out from Giovanni Yogurt and Ooga Booga Queen, but Tilted Pig and CB Hickey, I think they're starting to get to a much more comfortable point in this matchup where they can at least stand and fight, not be bullied off the wave quite so heavily. Primoden gets grabbed by Fat Lee and has that burn from the Leandry's Torment, but turns around with a good amount of damage as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shootout in the mid lane. Pretty much.
Oh, another gank onto Gotta Get Lucky. Another dive coming. He's just trying to stay away from Mixlink, but Foeden just hanging the tower. Mixlink is just hitting the turret. They're not even attacking this Urgot yet. Now they will. There is still a flash available for Urgot if he wants to use it, but yeah, pulled into the Death Realm. No way out. Or was he even pulled into the Death Realm? I don't think he was. So really nice timing again from Mixlink.
I am a little surprised they didn't kill him quicker. I suppose the prioritization of the tower was probably the right call there, just so they didn't die to that. Not a whole lot that Lucky could do there, to be honest. Short of having his jungler already be there.
Yeah, oh, they catch onto Lord of Admirals in the jungle. He's not even trying to invade this time. He's being invaded in the Death Realm, gets back under the tower at least, and he is going to be able to put Foeden to sleep. So a really nice job, and Lord of Admirals, oh my goodness, what an outplay. Mixlink, down Foeden, down 2 on the board for Lilia.
That should be illegal. There is no way that man should have survived, and yet the deer with the fancy feet escapes. I don't know how. That said, the tower did go over to Primoden, who just completely disregarded all of that happening and took the tower. But wow, fancy, fancy shoes. Well played by Lord of Admirals.
Yeah, and I think Foeden just thought that he had dropped turret aggro when he didn't. I think he could have gotten out with maybe about 5-10% health, but the turret aggro hadn't quite reset yet, and he walked right back into another shot and went down for it. So 2-1-1 is Lord of Admirals now on this Lilia. That's a big deal right now because it looked like things were starting to get away from Blitzkrieg here in Game 1 before that play.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very, very competitive set here. Both of these teams showed that they are the best and they deserve to be here. Not to take anything away from any of the other teams that split, but these two teams have been really, really scary. So I'm not surprised to see that this is a close matchup.
Break coming up in 12 seconds, and I think that this is going to be one that we actually see contested. If you're Blitzkrieg, you really want to get to that soul point. Obviously, if you're Phoenix, you've let the first two go, and there they go with the initiation. Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out. Teleport coming into that bot lane brush, though, and one coming in from Foeden as well. Oh, they immediately catch on to Gotta Get Lucky. Final Spark is not quite enough damage. CB Hickey in the backline just trying to disrupt things, but he's all alone back there. Can't really get much on. Big time ult from Gotta Get Lucky, though. Takes down Mixlink and gets a nice spear up. Foeden is battling Lord of Admirals in the Death Realm, but he's going to come back and be surrounded by everyone else. On the other side, Fatley is doing a great job zoning away the backline. Those three squishy characters just all having to run away from Swain. And that's going to get Blitzkrieg, I believe, their third Drake. They catch on to Jobani Yogurt at the end as well. I think we'll see Soul Point coming over now.
That was really, really well played. Reluctant to go too much into the breakdown on this because Fatley's looking like he's still trying to start something.
Could be in trouble here. Oh, the stopwatch is not going to be enough, though. They will secure the Drake. Oh, and the root lands. That's huge. The posthumous CC is going to get 2 more kills. Lord of Admirals, 1 more Q. Mixlink can't save his mid laner. And now Lord of Admirals with that red buff just looking to run down Mixlink. So many abilities coming out. Nice slow from Mixlink, but it's not going to be enough. Lord of Admirals, another kill. All of a sudden, 7-1-2.
Wow. So that happened. I don't even know where to begin with that. It's a little bit of an unfortunate situation where Tiltapig had to use his flash to try to go for that kill there when Lord of Admirals had it under control. Really, really well played in that team fight by both teams, to be honest. CB Hickey arguably a little bit too far forward, but he needed to do that in order to stop the Misfortune ult from channeling. I don't think the Mordekaiser ult was... It's going to become problematic now that we've seen it, because the Swain, like you said, was able to walk forward and just scare the other 3 members of that team away. And he's not even... Well, at the time, he wasn't even fed. Like, he's been sitting here farming. He had like a 1 assist, I think. That's going to become increasingly problematic. They're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that.
Yeah, and one thing about that Death Realm for the Mordekaisers, we were talking about how Foeden and Mixlink together, they provide a solid front line, but Mixlink went down early in that fight, and then by Foeden using that Death Realm, obviously he, pulls someone into, pulls someone away from the other team, but he also removes himself from the fight. Which means that if Mixlink is down and Foeden uses the ultimate, there's nobody to stand in front of these 3 squishy characters.
Yeah, and you really got to see that in action because those 3 players just literally turned and ran away from the Swain. And I can't call it out enough. The posthumous snare. CB Hickey might be in trouble here, though.
Yeah, CB Hickey a little too far forward, pulls out a nice depth charge, which should be able to delay things, but not quite enough. Oh, they catch onto Fatley, flashed in a straight line, but able to get away from the light binding. Mixlink still on the chase. They want blood out of this, but the Swain is kiting away nicely, has used the ghost, and is going to get slowed up. No escape now. Foeden comes down just to join in on the party. Booga Booga Queen gets the kill, so a nice little turnaround play there from Team Phoenix.
Yeah.
Mixlink could be in trouble here, though.
Uh-oh.
Swirl Seed comes out. Lord of Admirals could pop the ult.
He could.
Elects not to, yeah. Don't think he could have gotten in without trading his life.
He would have been able to kill Mixlink, but that's a huge, huge shutdown that would be going to somebody.
Yeah. It likely would have been Foeden who was standing right there, so that would have been not worth it, absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting to note that the Swain doesn't have Azonias yet. When that happens, that fight, you saw them. He was being beaten to death slowly by 4 people. If he had a Zonias, he actually may have been able to trade 1 or 2 back off of that, and that suddenly becomes increasingly large issue for them to deal with. I almost wonder if maybe Foeden may have to start grabbing Fat Lee in his ult just to prevent that from occurring.
Yeah, we've seen, excuse me, we've seen Foeden ult Lord of Admirals a couple of times and not be able to kill him in the Death Realm. And I know Foeden is, a very, very gifted player, and I understand when you have that, when you're that good, a lot of the time you kind of have this competitive streak where you really want to go after, the other team's carry. You want to have that one-on-one. But I think at this point, it might be better for him to remove someone else from the fight.
Yeah, I think you might be right, especially since even if the Sivir can't spell shield the ultimate right off the gate, she can absolutely spell shield your Q or your pull, and she's probably faster than you, realistically speaking. So catching her is going to be problematic and challenging. I think you might be right. Switching it up is probably a good idea. I do want to call out Mr. Z Money in the chat, first-time viewer, saying this is a close game. You are absolutely right. It is. The dragons are making it a little bit more uneven, but the money is about as close as you can get.
Yeah, 200 gold. That play with Lord of Admirals picking up all those kills around the dragon, and then the follow-up for the extra kills after the dragon really catapulted Blitzkrieg into relative control in this game, though, because they have the dragon stacks, but they were down about 2,500, 3,000 gold prior to that sequence of events. So to even up that gold and have those dragon stacks is obviously a great situation to be in. Speaking of, we've got 13 seconds until the next Drake comes up. If you're Team Phoenix, of course, you have to fight this.
We're seeing pings on Baron, which I'm not sure I agree with.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if you're Blitzkrieg, if you might try to do a sneaky trade here, but it almost seems like overthinking things.
I don't know if
you're
they
trying
have
too hard to be clever here.
I mean, look, there's absolutely no way that Phoenix predicts this because it seems like insanity. But they actually probably have enough damage to do this.
They know, because they've just fired the arrow up, so they had an inkling.
They're not going to get there in time, though. That's just a good trade, honestly.
Yeah, it worked out for Blitzkrieg. I'm still wondering, though, if... I mean, you haven't lost a team fight yet.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's just outthinking yourself. In any case, they get the Baron, so it worked out. As you said, very, very nice decision.
I don't think it's a bad call, to be honest. Primarily because they already have so many of these dragons. They can afford to lose one. It's more just... This gives them more push power, more options.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing turrets start to fall all over the map for Team Phoenix now. Bullet time comes out just for wave clear.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's probably a good call. That tower is absolutely going down if they didn't. Now, I don't know how much time they really bought, because there's still going to be Baron minions coming in, but...
Yeah, they just needed to get their members back on the map. Mixlink and Primidon were still in base, or close to it, as that wave was crashing. I think there's no way that turret survives that wave before reinforcements arrive. Gotta Go Lucky also picked up that bot lane outer a couple minutes ago, so this gold lead has now ballooned up to about 3,000 or 2.7k in favor of Blitzkrieg. So completely reciprocated from about 10 minutes ago, and there goes another turret.
Yeah, the ultimate for Misfortune to clear out that wave, it did prevent that from going down, but it's really only a stalling tactic.
They land a snare onto Fat Lee. Final Spark, I believe, missed, but the Lucent Singularity pops out a lot of damage.
Mildly surprised the Sed shouldn't go for an ult there. Maybe they aren't convinced they win the team fight. Which, to be fair,
which I wouldn't blame them for thinking. Yeah, at this
they
point,
probably don't.
Especially with Foeden not being there. I mean, their strongest member is the one in the side lane right now, so you probably just want to try to stall out this Baron buff.
I think the objectives are going to be... I mean, obviously this is sort of a silly statement to say it's League of Legends where objectives are always important. But in this game in particular, they're going to be very, very important. Because the gold is so close, the kills are so close, it really is going to come down to the Barons and the Dragons on this one.
And Ooga Booga Queen has quietly gotten to 4-1. So this Misfortune is going to be able to pump out a lot of damage if she's allowed to... If she isn't disrupted, which, I mean, the Nautilus and the Swain are going to be outstanding at.
Yeah, CB Hickey's
But
been pretty Johnny on the spot to prevent those from going off full channel, but he usually dies for it.
which is probably worth it.
I mean,
Obviously,
better him to die than everybody else, right?
yeah, exactly. And we've seen CB Hickey on this Nautilus. You know, I believe it was in the first game of this entire split. Actually, he played the Nautilus and ended up doing an outstanding job, just zoning and making life annoying for an extremely fed Menard's Belveth that looked like it was going to run away and carry that game. And CB Hickey did an outstanding job of just being annoying and keeping him from doing what he wanted to do in fights. And so that's obviously a role he is very, very comfortable in, and we're seeing it again in this game.
Yeah, outside the Amumu, I think Nautilus is probably CB Hickey's signature champion. The Amumu's had bullet time. Obviously, that is not happening this series, which they got that right off the table. But the Nautilus is definitely in his wheelhouse. He's very, very good at it. He likes the beefy engage champions. Wouldn't be even surprised to see a Galio come out later in this split or in this season. Or sorry, series. I got that eventually.
Unfortunately, Blue Buff, I believe, was just accidentally taken by Mixlink.
Oh, that feels bad.
Left with about 8 health or something. And yeah, I think it was the Immolate from the Sunfire Aegis.
That feels bad. X9 jungler, report.
Oh, CB Hickey catches on to Mixlink. Depth Charge comes out as well, and Gotta Get Lucky is here, so yeah, Mixlink has to respect it, even though he's pretty beefy. Doesn't want to stand up to all those members. Lord of Admirals continuing the chase, gets rooted up.
It's a lot of damage. A lot of damage from that passive burn. Mixlink at half. He's taking even more damage now, look at that.
Yeah, that Swirl Seed, I believe, came out, just tagged him for a little bit more. 30 seconds till Drake. Mixlink could probably get back to base and sprint back out, but they don't want to chance it with Hex Soul on the table. There's no Baron to be traded this time. Foe Eden does have teleport available up in that top lane. Mixlink trying to gather up some honey fruit, but CB Hickey again doing CB Hickey things,
Being
just
annoying.
making him uncomfortable. Nice smite from Lord of Admiral secures that Scuttle Crab. And Foe Eden has teleported in, so they're looking for a fight as Fat Lee running out of base. He will be a little bit late to the encounter, but unless Team Phoenix is able to nuke down this dragon really, really fast. Wow, they're taking a lot of poke damage. Vision of Empires did a lot of work onto the backline already. Foe Eden is just trying to zone people out.
Fat Lee's on the backside.
His ultimate. Yeah, Fat Lee with a great flank on the back. Those squishy members are in so much trouble. Foe Eden is going low as well. Gotta Get Lucky, dueling him in the Death Realm. Tilted Pig takes down Primidon. CB Hickey on the side, just not allowing Ooga Booga Queen to do what he wants to do. Foe Eden will drop. Nice Q flash at the very end to get one. But that's not going to be enough as Mixlink is chased away. Vision of Empires again will continue to annoy him as he tries to retreat. And that's going to be Hex Soul going over to the side of Blitzkrieg.
Really, really well played on that team fight. Pretty much everybody did their jobs perfectly. The only thing that I could have said, and again, this isn't even really Gotta Get Lucky's fault. There was this really good flash Q. Wow, there's a lot of vision in that bush. And he just walked right through it. It's just really, really well done. The Sivir did a stupid amount of damage. Like that looks almost like a support scoreline of a 2-1-7. But man, just so much damage pumped out on that team fight, and now they're going straight to Baron.
That was pretty funny. Tilted Pig mistimed when Baron was going to spawn and threw his boomerang too early. But won't matter. They will still secure it.
He did so well in that team fight. He's allowed to screw it up a little. Oh no!
Real Body Yogurt picks up a kill on CB Hickey at the end.
Oh, that feels bad.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming through, so a little bit of nice feels, at least, for the side of Team Phoenix, but this game is now completely in Blitzkrieg's control.
Yeah. I think, my professional opinion, in quotes, I think Team Phoenix actually may have overthought this pick and ban. I think in their strategy to take away picks, they actually have drafted themselves sort of a weird comp that doesn't work as well as that could have optimally.
I would agree. Mm-hmm.
Now that said, will this pay dividends in the next two matches? Because, again, first of all, this game isn't over. Not by a long sight. Obviously, there's still an option for them to come back. If all it takes is one Elder Dragon. But it is interesting to note that if they do end up going to games 2, games 3, you know, will the choices that they've made here and making it less optimal for them, will that actually end up hurting Blitzkrieg? It's tough to say.
Yeah, and something that before that outstanding flank from Fatway really blew up the fight, I was thinking that Team Phoenix might have been better served there to just nuke the heck out of that Drake and have Fo Eden pull Lord of Admirals into the Death Realm when it got low, just to ensure the objective. You probably get aced on the back of that situation, but you ended up getting pretty much aced anyways.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020 is Fat Lee and Fo Eden are battling in the Death Realm. Zonius comes out from Fat Lee, so that'll pretty much time out a lot of it, excuse me. Fo Eden still wants it though, still landing all those Qs. Fat Lee doesn't have the fancy feat of the Lilia. Taken pretty low, able to walk away for now as Zonius comes out from Fo Eden. Meanwhile, Lord of Admirals on the bottom side just dives onto Ooga Booga Queen, takes him out. And Fat Lee was able to get away from that situation in the top lane as well.
Need to go to a doctor because that damage made me sick. Oh my gosh, that was just absurd amounts of Lilia damage. I mean, I suppose he's 8-1. Like at this point, he can do whatever he wants. Very swift prancing about and murdering people. Oh, good hook.
They catch on to Fo Eden in the bot lane. A lot of damage, but has a big shield. Final Spark doesn't quite catch on to too many members. I believe it only hit CB Hickey. Everyone else was able to sidestep it. Now in the back has got to get lucky, looking to disrupt things. Mixlink is just melting from Tilted Pig. Got to get lucky, standing strong in the front line. He will get pulled back into the tower, though, and I think he will drop. So a little bit of an overreach there. Primogen is going to burn down, I think. The shield is not going to be enough. Yeah, Primogen does eventually burn down. You've got double burn items on both Fat Lee and Lord of Admirals, so that's just going to be so difficult to deal with. Fo Eden continuing to duel with Lord of Admirals one more time. Ooga Booga Queen shows up and makes the difference at the end. So Team Phoenix, they're able to withstand that assault, but Fat Lee is getting work done up in the top lane the whole time.
I'm laughing hysterically. Oh, hold on. I don't get to talk.
Arrow comes out. They'll land a slow as well, but they've got to be careful how close they step. They do have Fo Eden there for reinforcements, but Fat Lee will be able to walk away. Has both summoners available as well, so it'd be tough to catch him.
So the Swirl Seed landed on Primogen's Lux. He's slowly burning to death, shields himself. Not enough. I'm cracking up because Giovanni Yogurt just fired a volley at him. That's not going to do a thing. It's moral support. I appreciate that.
For a second, I was like, wait, is there some support mastery that I never use that helps?
It does not. It does absolutely nothing, besides perhaps make him laugh as he slowly burns to death. Just a little bit of an overstay there by Blitzkrieg. I think they stepped a little bit too far forward. I do think it's interesting. We did get to see the Mordekaiser ult with the Swain. We get to see that matchup. Obviously, it kind of was a draw. I think they both just hiked out of it with minimal health. But maybe that isn't the right choice for him to pull either, as far as which should be his ult target. Kind of tough to say at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because I think Tilted Pig is still the ideal one, but as you said, the Spell Shield could come out, and it's just going to be tough for Fo Eden to get back there to find him without taking a ton of damage. Looking for Gotta Get Lucky here, and yeah, I mean, everybody is able to stand up to this Mordekaiser pretty well right now. Gotta Get Lucky will eventually flash, though, so just as I say that, Fo Eden does pseudo-win that duel. The other thing is so many of these members on Blitzkrieg are beefy enough that even if Fo Eden can 1v1 them, they take Fo Eden out of the... It takes them too long. It takes him long enough that the fight is lost by the time he comes back. Mixlink, nice dash over the wall to keep himself alive. Final Spark onto CB Hickey. Fat Lee actually going forward gets another huge root down, and the backline just cannot stand up to this Swain. This is something we were worried about. They're so squishy. Mixlink is not quite tanky enough to deal with this either. Fo Eden is not there, and that means they just have no chance in these fights. Oh, that minion block was pretty rude. Mixlink was redirected in a really strange way. Elder Drake in 3 seconds. I think we might be looking at Blitzkrieg being able to close this game out here shortly.
Yeah, that was a good heads-up teleport by Fo Eden, but unfortunately he teleported in, and by that point his carry was dead. There's no reason to go in on that after that point, so he just sort of teleports in and walks the other direction. Elder being thrown up here now, and yeah, they're not even going to go looking for it. It's going to go firmly over to Blitzkrieg. Clear the ward! There you go.
Heading up towards Baron now as well. 12 seconds on that, so they'll have all the buffs. The Soul, the Elder, the Baron.
Yeah, I think at this point, if you were Team Phoenix, you just start thinking about what your game plan is for Game 2. You're not in a position where you're going to win a team fight. Arguably, you weren't in a position to win a team fight before you were behind. Now you're very far behind. So unless you get a miracle steal off like an Ash ult or something like that, I don't see this
Here it
going
comes.
any.
Oh, CB Hickey, that was smart. He was just standing right on the edge of that pit
good screen.
to block it, keep the AoE damage from even being able to tag the Baron.
And I feel like we would be absolutely remiss if we don't note that the highest farm in the game right now is Lord of Admirals. Also, the highest kills in the game is Lord of Admirals. This man should. I would say he should calm down, but I don't think he should. He's been doing work.
And another thing that you talked about Team Phoenix potentially overthinking things. Also think they, maybe overthought things by letting Lord of Admirals have this Lilia. We've seen him do so much work. We know that he can do work on other champions as well, but this Lilia is different. It's something special to watch. And, maybe they thought that they had the tools to deal with it, but when you've got a player of Lord of Admiral's caliber with a champion that is so difficult to deal with, I just think at that point you just, Ooga Booga Queen is going to burn down. Yep, there's the Elder Drake damage.
I was about to say she needs to be very, very careful, and then about 3 seconds after I thought about it, just Vision of Empire.
Maybe could have survived if Giovanni Yogurt had shot a volley at him.
That's true, he didn't try that time.
Maybe fire the Enchanted Crystal Arrow next time, just to see if that does something.
It can't go worse.
5v4 now. 2 inhibitors already down. Lord of Admirals is going to go pick up the third. And yeah, this looks like a pretty comprehensive closeout. Fatwee gets pulled under tower, but, able to just dodge the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Zonya's the the final spark, and the rest of Team Phoenix can't continue to try to chase at him. He's just walking at him now, even with 30% health. Feels fine. Nexus melts. Game 1 to Blitzkrieg.
Very, very well played by Blitzkrieg. That was about as textbook as you can get. They didn't really slip up on anything. Lucky had a little bit of trouble in the top lane, which was always going to happen because Faween's a monster, but the rest of the map definitely panned out. Well done. We will look at what stats we can. I'm actually surprised that Fat Lee had the most damage that game over Lord of Admirals.
Yeah, he was just tagging people, and then that burn damage from those 2 passives. I mean, Lord of Admirals had them as well, but I think Fat Lee was just doing AoE damage to so many people at the same time in so many fights. Well, folks, Blitzkrieg takes game 1 on the back of some impressive performances from, well, pretty much across the board, I'd say. Obviously, Lord of Admirals with some highlights, but I think that was a comprehensive win, as you just said. A couple missteps in the early game, but they got their feet under them and then pretty much ran away with it. We're going to take a short break here before game 2. We'll see if Team Phoenix can stay alive in the finals. We'll be right back.